Yeah, thanks for having me. I wore my shirt
Yeah, yeah.
and I got my Bears hat.
I should have put a hat on and bloody get rid of some of the glare off the screen, but
Oh, well.
uh, I used to have my co-host used to help me out with that. He used to bring a bit more glare.
Fair enough.
Wait, I believe you got a few things you want to go
Look,
over.
I've got a few segments that I brought,
Yep.
but before I start any of my segments, I've got to set the record straight. Um, this particular podcast, I think, has been a bit. The scales are. I'm going to try and even the scales a bit. Um, there's been quite a bit of talk on this podcast about. I've got a few notes written down. Roster construction.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to clarify a few things with you,
Yep.
and I know the answers already, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Yep.
This is a two quarterback league.
Superflex. It's not a
Yeah,
two quarterback league. Yeah,
super
but it
flex
is.
league,
Yep. Yep.
but you can play two
You can
quarterbacks,
play two quarterbacks. Yeah.
and we pretty much would all agree that quarterbacks are, even with the scoring changes that you've done, tight end, CB, safety, quarterbacks are the highest scoring position.
Depends on who
Well,
your
I've got.
second quarterback is.
All right, I'll stop you right there because I've got the stats to
Yeah.
back it up.
Yeah.
They are the highest
Well,
scoring.
yeah. It was more depends on what your next option is.
Yeah,
More
they
than
are the
anything.
highest
Yeah.
scoring. I've already got the stats.
Yep.
So normally, I think most teams would play two quarterbacks.
I typically have,
Yeah,
and
I think most.
not all teams, but yeah, most have. Yep.
Okay, well, that's fair enough if they're not. They probably should be because, as I said, they come up in the stats as the highest scoring position by far. Nothing's even close to them. Um, and that it really means you need to have probably two quarterbacks on your roster and maybe even a minimum of three because of matchups,
Yep. Yeah.
bye
Well,
weeks,
that was my plan
injuries.
too. I
I
wanted three.
think there's 32 teams, there's 10 teams in our league, so
Yep.
um, this particular podcast has several times mentioned the number of quarterbacks on my roster, and several times the hosts and their guests have said I have too many quarterbacks. So what I'm going to say now is I've done a little bit of research. We actually have two teams in this 10-team league right now that on their current roster, they have one active quarterback.
Mm.
Where's the
Yeah.
camera, Pete, right there?
Yeah, you're looking at it right there.
One quarterback
Yep.
active on their roster. Two of the teams have one quarterback when you can play two in their highest scoring position.
Yep.
Um, so what is the opposite, Pete, of too many?
None.
Not enough. So I'm going to even those scales that keep saying how I have too many quarterbacks to say. And both of these teams, by the way, are fighting for a playoff spot. They have not enough. They have one quarterback in a league where you can play two quarterbacks and it's the highest scoring position. And there's one other team that I have to mention that has two quarterbacks, and one is a stone cold rookie. And that team is definitely fighting for a playoff spot. So I just thought before I get into my segments, as I said, this podcast has several times questioned the number of quarterbacks I have. So I just wanted to even the scales and say these three teams I would think should be adding quarterbacks, but I guess that's up to them. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I said I don't know if I'm one of the teams, but I probably am because every quarterback I had has gone to IR.
You've had two good guys go to IR,
Yeah.
Watson, and you are one of the teams.
I can't. You can't withstand that.
Well, there is ways around it, but it
Yeah.
depends on how stubborn people are.
I'm very.
Obviously, because you haven't done anything to address
Well,
that
I just-
situation.
I'm kind of for myself. I doubt my team can win anymore. There
Well, the
was
stats I've got prove otherwise.
and what?
In
Sorry.
my segment.
No, yeah. So yeah, I'm at a point now. Mentally, I don't think my team is a title contender anymore. Too many injuries in positions for, let's say, losing two solid starting quarterbacks, and the injury to Burrow just kills Jamar Chase's value from here on out for the rest of the season. So what I had as a wide receiver one isn't a wide receiver one anymore.
Well, maybe, but you can do things to address it. I mean, the NFL loses quarterbacks. They either sign guys or trade for guys or whatever. And as I said, one of the things that
I was going to touch on that there.
One of the things that I was going to say about what I've done, a podcast, not just this one, I'm saying any podcast, usually has 2 or 3 guys on the podcast sitting around discussing things. They make a lot of predictions. They have a lot of opinions, and it's like the old saying, opinions are like, we know what, everybody has one. In fact, a lot of things on this podcast have been flat out guesses. This team's the best team. I think this team, this player, whatever. What I've done is I've done such a deep dive into stats that I'm going to be able to tell everybody who's the team, what's happening, where it's going, and who's in the playoffs and stuff like that. Because these are facts. These aren't guesses or opinions.
Yep. No, look, my other reasoning was if I feel like my team can't win, I can't see the point in giving up any type of capital at this point to improve it, because I just don't think it's. I don't think that ability's there anymore.
I don't want to jump my segment, but you are definitely heavily in the playoff picture.
Oh yeah,
for the Titan Bowl.
Yeah,
definitely.
Right. Do we want to go over last week's games, mate, or we just want to go through to where you're?
Probably. Nah, I'm not. No. Like I said, I'm a analytical, logical thinker. The game's happened.
Yeah.
And guys probably made bad mistakes. Me, one of them, because I didn't play Trevor. I mean, I only would have got 1 point about it. I still would have beat.
You would have beat
Jared,
me for that.
But I would have got the high, at least the top 5.
You would have got your 5.
So, and other guys probably made mistakes, and other guys, No,
that's fair. All good. Well, you've obviously got something you want to roll into. I'm happy for you to go into it if you want to.
For it?
Yeah, that's fine, mate. I've got another thing to talk about anyway.
I'll go first, and you can do yours.
Yep.
The name of this segment is Where Is It Coming From? Okay? So this is, I'm going to talk about points and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The system defaults when you look at high point scores to 32. The top 32
it does.
Scores.
Yes.
So I've done a little deep dive on some of these stats, and of those top 32, of course, the quarterbacks are the highest. There are 9 of them.
Yep.
So they're still at the top of the food chain, and that's why we said at the beginning about playing 2 quarterbacks.
You know what doesn't stick out though? Because we're all used to leagues where the quarterback is the absolute top of the totem pole. Mm-hmm. Where in this league, it hasn't sat that way at any point this season.
No, Allen's like the 4th highest scorer.
Yeah.
He's the number 1 quarterback. So, Tyreek Hill's killing it.
Yep.
And Keenan Allen, I've got a note.
It's crazy season.
Keenan Allen is the 2nd highest scorer in this league. And kudos to the brothers, who I guess Pete said when we were off air he assisted him, but I'm not going to verify that.
I wouldn't do that.
They drafted him in the 9th round. Now, I've got that down as a note that so far this year, that's the best draft pick, the 2nd highest scorer, and he's had his bye week. That's the thing about these 32. Some of them haven't had their bye weeks. He has. Yep. He's the 2nd highest scorer drafted in the 9th round, so good job by the brothers.
Yep.
But on to the 32, I've broken down Well, like I said, the quarterback scored the most.
Yep.
Safeties were 4, DEs 4, LBs 4. So they're there. Wide receivers was the closest. They were 6.
Yeah, I
Tight
figured
end
receiver.
CBs, like 1. It's still quarterbacks.
I figured wide receiver would be
Yeah,
up there.
wide receiver 6.
Yep.
But the thing is, when you go down to 64, the next one down for the eyes,
Yep.
there's a lot of quarterbacks
Yeah, there would be.
in that level.
Yeah.
So it's
Yep.
definitely the quarterbacks are still the highest scores. That's a fact.
Yep.
So I'm going to go from number 10 upwards to number 1. The number 10 team that has numbers in these top 32 is the Bears. Yours truly, I've got one person in there. That's one
top
player.
32. Jesus.
Top 30. That's terrible, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked that.
Buffalo has 2, and the Dolphins have 2.
Yep.
That's not very many.
No.
Spirit, he's only got 3, which leads me to believe Spirit has a very deep roster.
Just solid.
Very
deep
consistent.
roster. Yep.
Staten Island Stapletons have 3.
Yep.
The Eagles, Robbie, has 4.
Yeah, all right.
But when I deep dive to the next 32, 64, Robbie's next guy is at number 51. So
Yeah, all right.
Robbie's got a little core of 4 guys,
Yep.
a couple of Eagles, that
I wouldn't have guessed that.
that are getting him some points.
Yeah.
But then he drops.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Now, the Packers have 4.
Yep.
Canton has 4. And Akron has 4. But I've got 2 notes on Canton and Akron. From number 33 to number 64, Canton has an unbelievable amount of guys.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
And Akron has an unbelievable amount of guys.
Yep.
So these teams, whereas they're still 2 and 3 with those numbers, 4 guys in the top 32, they are so far ahead of that next level that they really have a solid. In fact, I've also got to have a shout out to Joey. Joey has the highest. He's got the number 5 scorer right now, Cameron Bynum,
Oh, yeah.
and that's a first come, first serve waiver.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So that was the highest.
Yep.
Good on you, Joey. First come, first serve waivers, highest score, number 5 currently. That's
Yep.
pretty impressive. Now, number 1 with 5 guys is Providence. And I've got some notes on this one.
It's their 5. It's the 5 guys that are carrying
Their
them.
next guy has number 55.
Yeah.
These guys have 5 guys that average, I've done the averages,
No,
152 points a game.
It's not a bad boost, is it?
Now, that's a core. They've got 5 guys. It's working for them. Like,
Yep.
I'd rather be like Jake and Joey where they have guys in that next level. But that's working. These guys are scoring. I mean, when you start with 152,
Yep.
that ain't bad, is it?
Well, driving home this afternoon, I sat there and I thought, what do I think a good average is for a player every week? And I thought to myself, look, if I can get 20 points out of each player on offense,
Yeah.
so bank 160 points out of your starters,
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
agree.
And probably thought something around the same on defense, which if you do that across your entire roster, that gets you pretty close to the 400-point mark.
Exactly. I mean, as I said, they've got, it's Kels, Mahomes, Diggs,
McCaffrey.
CMC, and Keenan
Keenan
Allen.
Allen.
So you got those 5 guys. We played 21, 152 points.
You don't need much of the rest of them, do you?
I got one guy.
Yeah.
And
That's insane. Who is it?
it's Sam Howell. He's only started 1 game for me. So,
That's
yeah, I mean,
it's not hard to see why you're sitting where you are.
But the thing is, though, I've got my next segment is going to show how I've made a few notes here, and I put it in this segment and my next segment.
Yep.
The line that the win-loss record can be very, very misleading because it is, believe me.
Yep.
And I'm a prime example of it. But yeah, the brothers, as I said, it's working for them. But man,
Look,
if those 4 or 5 guys
oh,
go down or something.
yeah, of course, yeah.
But they get a lot of points. That's 152 average.
So while they're healthy, they're a threat to win anything. So
the way I look at this too, and I think it's been said every week, obviously the worst team, the best team, anybody can beat anybody
Oh,
in this
100%.
league.
Yeah.
I mean, the scoring is crazy.
Yep.
And everybody's got the potential to score points.
Well, I've had a 528 point week, and I've had two 304 point weeks or something.
You got the highest score, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. So I've seen both ends of the spectrum.
Look, so that's my little segment on where's it coming from.
Yep.
But as I said, I'm gonna open some eyes with that. But my last segment that I'll let you go with yours. Yep. It's gonna open some even more eyes.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So, as I've done with my other leagues this week, I thought it was probably time to sort of go over a bit of a potential playoff outlook. First off, definite congratulations to Spirit. He has actually clinched his division. So now
Is that because Spirit's division is pretty shit?
It's been nice.
Well, I'm in a division.
He can go 0-6 from here out, and no one can catch him. So he has clinched the division and a first round bye in the playoffs. So congratulations, mate. Very good season considering you were 2 weeks removed from having a stent put in. Coming into the draft, so he might actually got some time to do a bit of draft prep this year. But the Bulldogs, Canton Bulldogs, Akron Pros, and Providence Steamrollers have all clinched playoff spots, just in case that wasn't already apparent. But this is where things are going to get pretty full on for the next 3 weeks. So we got the Packers at 9-13, the Stapletons at 9-13, the Eagles at 8-14, the All-Americans at 8-14, and the Bears at 7-15. Now, there is a stream of games where the Eagles, Bears, Packers, Stapletons all face off against each other in some way, shape, or form towards the end of the season. The Packers finish up with the Steamrollers, Eagles, and Saints. Probably a pretty tough run home, actually. Unless Spirit's going to he might want to sit a few guys in that last week just to keep them fresh for the playoffs. The Stapletons.
I don't know, but the Packers owner, he was my podcast partner, but he's turned against me lately, so I've got a bone to pick with him. But that's for another day.
It's coming. Packers have got pretty solid points scored so far this season at 4479.92. Stapletons are at 9-13. They've scored 4469.28. So it's still pretty solid score. Finish up with the Eagles, Bears, and Steamrollers. So there's a couple of matchups that could sway the playoff picture for sure. You're shaking your head.
Anybody that looks at the Bears is probably licking their chops.
Oh no, there's plenty of quality there. It's just a matter of whether it fires, mate.
It hasn't yet.
No.
We got 3 games to go.
You never know. It might be ready to launch for the next 3 weeks, mate. Then we got the Eagles at 8-14. So they've got 462-461. So those 3 teams are all within 50 points, 55 points of each other. The Eagles probably have, for the playoff picture, they probably have the best run home. They play the Stapletons, Packers, and Bears, all of which could pretty much decide their destiny pretty much. If they could win those 3 games, they probably make the playoffs off that. All-Americans, Davo's actually got the lowest points scored in the league now.
Believe me, my last segment's going to address a lot of what you're going over, but with facts.
Yeah. He's at 8-14. scored 4,243 and 79. He finishes up against the Dolphins, the red hot Dolphins, I might add. The Pros and the Bulldogs. So I can't see Davo. Well, look, anything can happen on a given week, but to finish up against both Joey and Jakey,
Pretty tough finish.
I can't see him winning those.
Pretty tough finish.
I figured you probably want 3 to 4 wins to get in at this point. Then for you, mate, 7 and 5, you're 4,295, 74 for the season. You got the Saints this week, which is a tough matchup. So you know what you get in my spirit. And then you got myself, the Stapletons, and the Eagles to finish the season off. You don't control your own destiny at all. But if you manage to win 5, get maybe 5 wins out of that, you're definitely a shot at the playoffs. So Jared's technically not eliminated, but I believe he is. He's only on 4 wins. All right, back again, guys. Just
that wasn't a temper tantrum by Pete.
Just some technical difficulties. Technology, you'll love it. I just thought that all that cluster of games between the Packers, Stapletons, Eagles, Bears are going to have a lot to do, a lot of say in what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. So my gut feeling is this will probably go right down to the last week before these last 2 playoff spots for the Titan Bowl are sealed. If you can somehow grab a 2-win week, there's going to be huge over the stretch run. So
the way I look at these playoffs is I was the only guy that predicted myself to win the Titan Bowl and the Titanic Bowl because I said I'm getting my name on one of those 2 trophies for this first year. So if I miss the Titan Bowl, I'm quite happy to take that Titanic Bowl, raise the trophy, and that'll get me one up on the predictions.
Look, yeah, it's been a fun season so far anyway. Definitely the most enjoyable league. So
this league, I'll tell you, and I pushed for it really hard in that old Primetime, that second win for the top 5. I think it's the best set of rules I've ever played because I've got instances written down of where the third highest scorer was like playing the first highest or something, and they got beat.
Yep.
So at least they get a win by being in that top 5.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's fair.
It's if it wasn't for that, I think I'd be 3 and something.
Believe me, I've got it written down again.
I know. I know what my record would be.
Win-loss record is very, very misleading in this particular league.
Yep. Well, mate, we're leading into your segment, so.
All right. I'm going to take my glass off because I've got a lot of reading on this one. This is the deepest dive I've ever done on stats.
I might take mine off so because I don't have to read.
Okay. This is I've got notes all over the place. This is a deep dive.
Yep.
This is called What's the Real Story? Okay. And once again, I've got highlighted a win-loss record can be very misleading. Just a few points. This has been done by a combination of straight statistics, analytics. It's done on the power ranking. It's done on total points. And by total points, I mean points scored in the game, points for.
Yep.
And bench points.
Yep.
Because that shows the rest of your roster.
Yep.
So I know some of you guys may not have played in an all-play league. But we have an all-play record.
We did that Aussie league. So
we have.
A lot of us were
but
in that,
some of them may not have. But we played. This has all-play record built into it.
Yep.
And some of you may not have played a best ball either, where you just have your roster and the system picks your best players at each position.
Yep.
So I've used that to determine, like I said, what's the real story.
Yep.
Now, one thing I will say, I've got a few notes before I get right into it. We've had 10 games this year, 10 games in 11 weeks, where both teams scored under 400 points.
Yep.
So a
No.
team won, yet 10
Jesus.
under 400, both teams.
Yeah, I
Now,
wouldn't have picked that.
just for me personally, I just scored 416.75 points.
Yep.
Not only did I not get a win, I did not get top 5.
Yep.
So when I say records are misleading, and 10 games this year, both teams scored under 400,
Yep.
there's a prime example of some teams have been more fortunate than other teams.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've got that written down, that some teams have been more fortunate. Like
that happens every year in fantasy, though.
whether it does or not,
Yeah, yeah.
it's still what's the real story.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised that I'll ask you a question right now.
Yep.
Of the 10 teams, can you tell me who has the lowest points scored against them? Meaning they're number 10 in points scored against them.
It was Jake, but I don't think it is anymore.
It's not Jake.
No. It was. It actually might be Robbie.
It's not Robbie,
No.
and it's by a wide margin.
Yeah, right.
The Providence Steamrollers.
There you go.
And by a wide margin. So
Yep.
this is nothing against the Providence Steamrollers, because I just earlier said how they were the most consistent. Their minimum performance was 374. But they play, and the teams against them score shit. They're way ahead.
Good.
Now, I'm going to give you an example.
Good defense.
It's got nothing to do with their
I know.
defense. I know that's Jake's joke, but that's got nothing to do with it. But what I'm saying is here's the stat that I got, and you're involved in it.
Yep.
Your Staten Island Stapletons is the number 2 team with points scored against them, which means when you play somebody, they score like crazy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm at the other end of the
You're
spectrum.
number 2.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know who number 1 is.
Yeah, Dave's number 1.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I've done an average.
Yep.
The Providence Steamrollers average 52 points less scored against them than you. So if you line up, Providence starts a game tomorrow against an opponent, dead even.
Yep.
You line up that opponent based on the averages, you're down 52 points to Providence.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That's bullshit. That's a lot to make up. As I said, nothing against Providence. They got a damn good team, but they've been lucky because they have nobody scoring against them.
Yep.
Now, the second one is Jake, like you said.
Yeah, I knew Jake was down there.
Jake's got a great team, according to the stats, too. But there's a reason those two teams are at the top. They're still good teams, but if I was going to have a stat that I could pick at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't mind being number 10 in points scored against me because, as I said,
makes it easy to get wins, doesn't it?
You're 52 points down to Providence. So, anyway, I'm going to dive into this.
I know. Like Jakey was a long way in front early on. I think he's actually he's had a few more higher points scored against him lately. So
yes, he has. Yeah. Now, one thing I've come out of this with, and I'm going to tell you right now, a prelude to playoffs and stuff.
Yep.
This is straight stats on all the stuff I mentioned. What it's done is it showed there is 4 teams that really stand out, but there's 2 teams that really, really stand out. Okay?
Yep.
And the 3rd and the 4th team are nipping at their heels, but they're definitely behind them.
Yep.
And then there's 2 teams that are middle of the road, right there.
Yep.
At like 5 and 6, and they definitely are there. Now there's 2 teams right behind them that are nipping at their heels, but they're definitely behind them. And then there's 2 teams that are definitely bringing up the rear.
Yep.
So the way I see it is, based on all these stats, there's 6 teams that really, I'd say that's I'll tell you who's the playoffs.
Yep.
Unless something really different happens.
Yep.
But I'm going to start from number 10 being the lowest scoring points up to number 1.
Yep.
This is total points, meaning points for when you've played, and bench points, meaning your roster. So if we were playing a best ball league, which you know what it is,
Yeah, I know what
meaning
best
the
ball is.
system
Yeah.
picture.
I'm playing a couple already,
Yep.
so.
Okay.
Yep.
We've got number 10 by a long ways is the Eagles, 7,208 points. Now, the number 1 team is 8-9. That's 1,700 points difference.
Yep.
You know how much that is
That's
in a game?
huge.
It's
That's
154 in 11 games.
Yep.
154 average each game.
Jesus.
That's a hell of a lot
That's
of
huge.
points.
Yeah.
So we said how Robbie has 4 beautiful guys.
Yep.
But from then on, Robbie, you can see.
I think at the start of the season, I did say depth might be his problem. So.
Well,
Yeah.
and as I said, you'll see the brothers coming up not too
Yeah,
far
yeah,
away
yeah.
either. They've
Yep.
got 5 core guys. Robbie's got 4 core guys.
Yep.
And it's working.
Yep.
But whether it works to the end of the season in the playoffs, we'll see.
Robbie has cooled off a bit of late, so.
Well, yeah. Okay, number 9 is Buffalo.
Yep.
7,341 points.
Yep.
Number 8 is the Dolphins. 7,466 points combined. That's for best ball. One good thing I'll say about Jared, his low minimum per fortnight is 343.79. So he's never really had a dog week like even some of the top teams had. So I know his record is, once again, probably misleading. He's probably better than that record.
The problem for Jared was he hasn't got any of that. He hasn't had a consistent top end score.
He's had 2. He's got 2 in the 32.
He's sort of sitting around that high 300s a lot into the low 400s.
And I didn't bring up how he picked Burrow over Josh Allen because I promised I wouldn't do that. But anyway, he's injured now, but he went out at number 125. So.
The Spirit's very happy that you did that. Thanks.
Now, the next team's going to surprise you, although I've touched on them. Number 7 is Providence.
Yep.
They've only scored 8,047 points. They're very consistent. We know they got that 5 core, but they've had the lowest points against them. So
Kenneth said to me a lot of times, so we've got no depth.
Now, the number 6 team, and in every stat thing that I've done, this team has come in about number 5 or 6, and I think they're in the Titan Bowl, and that's you, Staten Island.
Yep.
You've scored 8,184 points. You're I don't know I know what the records are, but like I said, records are misleading.
Yep.
According to these stats, which it's hard to go against, you're like the 5th or 6th team, so I figure you're in. Number 5.
Like I said before, I've won 3 head-to-head games.
Yeah, I know it. As I've said, that win-loss record.
It's freaking brutal.
I mean, well, this last week where I scored that much and didn't get a win or a top 5 was pretty brutal. But number 5 is the Packers, 8,450 points.
Yep.
Patty, once again, every stat that I've done, he's right at 5 or 6.
Yep.
So I think the 5th and 6th team in the Titan Bowl are you and Pat. That's the way I see it.
Yep.
I don't, unless something crazy happens.
Yep.
Number 4, and once again, Spirit, he's all-play record is the second best.
Yep.
He's very consistent. His low minimum per fortnight is 344.53.
Yep.
It was higher a while ago, but he came down. But he's
he's
still
had a couple
pretty solid.
Yeah.
He's got 8,513 points, meaning he's got a top-to-bottom roster.
Yep.
Now, the next one's probably the biggest surprise of all at number 3. It's me.
Yep.
8,541 points. So, once again, I say my record is misleading.
I got a silly question.
Yeah.
You don't know how much of that's come out of quarterbacks at all there?
No, because I know they keep saying quarterbacks, but
no. It was just more.
But I'm saying I've really only got Trevor for the score and Howell and Dobbsy and Goff. So it's not like Spirit's got 3 quarterbacks that score.
Yeah.
It's because I got guys like Red Dalton and Tannehill and Wilson on my roster.
Yeah.
But they don't score anything.
No.
So that's why I said that quarterback is a little overplayed. But I do got 4 good quarterbacks. But
I know from my perspective, it was in jest most of the time.
Yeah, I know. I didn't ever take it personally. And believe me, I didn't. Now, here's the bad stat for me. My maximum per fortnight points for this year is the lowest, 435.81. which is terrible. So I've never had a big week like everybody else had.
Yep.
And I've got a little asterisk written down. Joey and Jake's average score each week is higher than my maximum
Yep.
that I've ever had. So, yeah, I don't know what's going there, but okay. Lowest, now number 2, and he's the second best all play, is Canton.
Yep. Oh,
8733.
he's second best on all play.
Jakey, yeah, you're going to be surprised at my stats here. He's the second lowest points against, so he's another one that's had a nice run against him. But he's also second best in the all play. He's first in the power rankings. He's got a really good team.
Look, the last 6 or 7 weeks, his team's been firing.
It's rolling.
Yeah.
But the top guy, once again, Joey, and by a long distance, 8902, meaning he's the best all-play record.
Yep.
He's got the best combined bench points and total points, and he scores a lot. He did have one bad week.
Yeah, bad week 2 weeks ago.
298 or something.
Yep.
But when I put it all together with the total points for best ball, all play record, the power rankings, individual point getters and stuff, it's extremely difficult to separate Jake and Joey, but I almost think I've got to give Joey as the top team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to crown him like Jared, Pat, Robbie, and those guys did.
I did, but I was only stirring.
Yeah, I know. But I got to admit, Joey, I mean,
his team's strong, mate.
His Jake's right there. You could put a piece of thin paper between them.
Yep.
Spirit is definitely nipping, and Providence is nipping. They're all 4 right there.
Yep.
And you and Pat are definitely the next 2 teams. And then probably based on these stats and stuff without win-loss, me and Robbie are right there. And then Jared and Davo are probably towards the end.
Yeah, look, Davo's team's it's stuffed now.
Yeah, stat-wise, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Jared, stat-wise, it should be definitely better than his record.
Yep.
He's got some good things going for him.
His team's improved scoring a lot the last probably 2 to 3 weeks, I think, off the top of my head.
He probably has
push further into that 400 bracket. So.
And the thing is, this is current right now. Like, we still got 3 weeks to go.
Anything can happen in 3 weeks.
Definitely
Don't worry
anything
about
can happen. And we know from every time in the old Primetime, who was ever the top team, Joey, they don't seem to ever win it. So once you hit the playoffs, you know what happens. Boom, one and done or 2 shitty games. Somebody comes up and gets hot. Same could happen in the Titanic.
Seriously,
Bowl.
all you need, like if you're a top team, you've generally got pretty good players on your roster. But if you hit that week 15, week 16, bad weather games where you got your players involved in it, and then you're playing up against a team that, let's say they got some dome games or whatever, they'll swing it. So those bad weather games is where your points generally are pretty shit house unless you're playing defense. So
and we've also, I looked at the trade deadline. It's the kickoff of week 14.
Yep.
So we've still got 2 weeks for some of these teams that are battling, who I may have pointed out earlier, that need help at certain positions that. You know, it's only a keeper league, so you got 5 keepers on offense, 5 on defense, and the taxi squad guys.
Yep.
Like I just did a trade with Jake last night. He needed a tight end, really, and I gave him Ferguson for Mingo, and I probably needed a wide receiver. I know Mingo hasn't been doing it, but man, he's got the potential to do it.
I am still seriously thinking about bringing up Dalton Kincaid because of a lot of injuries that I've got at wide receiver. I may have to start 2 tight ends. I don't know.
You want to take him through? Why?
I might keep him.
Trade for one. That's what Jake did.
Yeah.
He had Cole Kmet as about his only tight end, and he traded Ferguson. Ferguson's pretty solid.
I've still got, and Joker's been scoring pretty good the last couple of weeks.
Good.
Yeah, he has been scoring well. And I mean, I can use Luke Musgrave at a pinch if I have to throw somebody in. If
I was advising you, I wouldn't bring up any of those guys. Just crazy, because you get 5 keepers, and that's a 6th. Why bring him up? Like I said, I mean, Ferguson that I've traded wasn't a keeper.
No.
Jake's not going to keep him.
No.
Mingo that Jake traded to me is not a keeper, but he could help me. He could get hot. I still like Bryce Young. I know you guys don't. Jake doesn't either.
Oh, look, I don't hate Bryce Young.
think
Don't
he's
get me wrong
good.
there, but
His offensive line
he
sucks.
hasn't been good this year.
Yeah, but his offensive line sucks. And ask Robbie from the Wolverines how it is. You were helping coach. You know what it's like when your offensive line sucks.
Yeah.
I think Bryce Young will be good. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that was a little trade that probably helped both of us, but they're neither one of them keepers. So.
Well, they're not going to win the title for you at all, are they? So,
but they're going to help.
They'll help
gonna
you.
Cover
Just keep some momentum.
Komet's on his bye.
Yep.
Or if somebody was to get hurt, just like I wouldn't bring up Kincaid if I was you. If I had to, I'd trade for a tight end.
Oh, I don't need a tight end. It's more. Actually, I might have even dodged a bullet there. It depends on whether Kenny Walker looks like missing any time or not with that oblique injury. Because I picked up Zach Charbonnet last week just on a whim that, hey, what if Walker gets hurt?
Yeah, look, I like Charbonnet. I've got him in a couple other leagues of those other leagues. So.
Yep. So he might help me with the pinch start. Because I picked up DeAndre Houston-Carson last week because I was screwed at safety.
He's not bad. He's not that bad, that guy. He used to play for the Bears.
Yeah, no, he's solid. He puts up stats when he's out there.
He put up stats, definitely.
But I really need Mickey to come back sometime soon. I've just everywhere I looked on my roster last week, there was either red buys or red Qs, Os, and Ds, and it's brutal, man.
It's getting tough.
I was just lucky to get Tyler Lockett, and there was someone else come off the injury list on the last day of the week. So
now, before we wrap it up, because we probably better, but I want to bring out one point. Tipping is very tight.
I haven't looked.
There's probably 6 guys that are within 3.
Bad commissioner.
Very, very tight. And we still got tipping, though. Steve goes to week 18. So,
yeah, it goes right through. Yep.
I mean, we still got like 7 weeks left, so there's plenty of time. But Survivor. We had last week 3 owners still in it, me, Jake, and Spirit, with 3 different teams, and 2 of them,
one of them was sweating it out hard.
Mine and Spirit's, were both down. Spirit was going down. He had.
Who were they against?
Houston.
Yeah, who was that against?
Cardinals.
Arizona.
Arizona had the ball down 21-16 driving in to win it.
Yep.
Jake thought he had it. We definitely got lucky, but I have.
Detroit shouldn't have won.
No, they shouldn't have. That's why golf was so threatened. But I thought I had a deal for golf. We had negotiations. They fell through.
This wouldn't be with Jake at all, would it?
Not going to name who they were with. Joey put on the chat that he wanted golf too. And as I said,
I know we've talked.
Jared's got 1 quarterback now.
Yep.
Dave's got 1 quarterback. You got 2, and one of them is a rookie for the Browns who ain't very good.
No,
so, as I said,
I have thrown some feelers out around the place for a few things. My last option would be to trade Fields. It's but literally next week I will not have a starting quarterback that is startable.
Goff, according to Jake, I should be thanking Goff because he did come back and win it in the 4th quarter, but he gave me more gray hairs because all I wanted to win was Survivor, and I thought I was out.
Oh, God.
I worked that Pete magic on that network for once. But anyway, Survivor this week, I haven't spoke to Jake or Spirit, but, man, I'll tell you what. The teams that all 3 of us have left.
Everyone's in. So
it's shit. And, man, I'll tell you what, But the games, wow, good luck picking one this week.
Really?
It's bad. All the big point spreads are teams we've already used.
Yeah,
so it's going to be like a 2-point, 3-point, or a pick'em game. And if we all take different teams, it could end this week. Definitely, it could definitely end.
I honestly haven't even looked at the the games this week just to see what'd be a decent pick. Yeah.
All the big point spreads we use. There isn't
one. That's wild, isn't it?
It's really ugly.
That's brutal.
I've actually looked at Week 13, and in Week 13 there was a couple games that if we get through are probably pickable. But, man, this week, if all 3 of us get through, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, because, I mean, whilst teams like the the Bears, Cardinals, and that have got like bad records.
They're not bad.
They're not bad teams.
No.
They're not like Carolina look like a bad team.
They're not that bad, though, really. They got a decent D. It's just their O-line is horrible.
Yeah. Particularly the middle part of the line, which is really, if you want to have a good A-line, you want to start in the middle because the last thing you want to have a young quarterback getting is quick pressure right in their face because that destroys everything. So,
All right, Petey, we better wrap it
mate.
up.
Yep. Thanks for coming on, mate. Good
No
to have
worries.
you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, and good luck to everyone for the week. And for all of yous, I just hope no more injuries.
Yeah, no more. Right.
All right. Thanks, guys.